And here today we have the joy of hearing from Reverend Dr. Michelle Whittingham. She is an ordained religious science minister, having served a Phoenix church community for almost 22 years. She is also a licensed Art of Feminine Presence master teacher, a certified real love coach, and author of From Our Hearts to Yours, Stories and Lessons on Conscious Living, Conscious Dying, and Conscious Loving, and a co-creator and co-author of Heroines Tales, So No Woman Has to Slay Her Dragons Alone. When she left her pulpit ministry, she began a new ministry as the founder of Unleash Your Life Consulting, where she offers one-on-one mentoring classes, workshops, and retreats to empower those who want to take their feet off the brakes and fully embrace their dreams. Her vision in life is to travel her ever-extending spiritual journey and serve others with love and compassion as they travel theirs. Be ready to be inspired and join me in giving a warm NVC welcome to Reverend Dr. Michelle Whittingham.
Good morning. It is so nice to see all of you, to be here. It is actually an honor to be with you. And before I say anything else, I just have to say that this community holds a deep place of love and respect in my heart. You are the most resilient bunch I think I have ever known. Just saying. And I have such respect for your ministers, Reverends Leslie and Karen. Give both of them, even though Karen probably is watching, give them both a hand because they are amazing. And I love the theme of the spiritual heroes. Okay, I got to switch it a bit. And the heroine's journey. Just got to add that a little bit. I love that theme. And I want to support that theme this morning by talking about what got you here won't get you there. What got you here won't get you there. So what does that mean even? Well, I will tell you what it means. We'll unpack that statement. But before we do, I have two things to set this up. One is a backstory. You need the backstory. And the other one is a question that I will pose to you. Because I always like to make, whenever I speak, it's got to be personal. It's got to be real for you. It can't just be theory. Spiritual theory is great, but unless we bring it into our lives and make it real, then it's just interesting, right? So I'm going to ask you a question to ponder as we explore what that statement means. But first, the backstory. The backstory is this. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, I had two amazing mastermind partners. One of them was Reverend Richard Rogers of Unity of Phoenix. And the other one was this beautiful young minister, dark hair, big brown eyes. What was her name? Oh, yeah, Reverend Michelle Madrano. You may have heard of her. You may know her. All right, so those of you who are new and maybe don't know who she is, she was the second minister here at New Vision Spiritual Growth Center. Sorry, Center for Spiritual Living, it's called now. It was Spiritual Growth Center back then. So Reverend Michelle and Reverend Richard and I would meet for coffee a couple times a month. We'd pray together. We'd support each other. We'd cry together. We'd laugh together. We would share ideas and whatever prayer partners do. One day at our coffee, Reverend Richard comes rolling in. Those of you who know him, he's a big guy. He comes rolling in, and he's got this book in his hand. He goes, "Ladies, this book is amazing. You need to know about this book. It's called The Last Word on Power, Executive Reinvention for Leaders Who Must Make the Impossible Happen," by Tracy Goss. Well, Reverend Richard told me to go get this book, so I raced out to a bookstore. Yes, an actual bookstore. They existed then. This was, remember, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. There was a bookstore, and I bought it. And what I discovered as I started reading it is that it wasn't just a book. I mean, it is a book written for successful leaders of successful companies who wanted to learn to lead their companies to the next level of success. That's what it's about. But it is also a roadmap for the spiritual hero's journey. And it is completely 100% in line with metaphysical principles. So this lovely little Jewish woman, Tracy Goss, who I did a lot of research on, was, I think, a closet metaphysician. She didn't talk about it that way, but that is exactly what this book was. So it was so much more than a book for a leader of a corporation. It is, how do I live my life in the highest way, the most connected way, the most joy-filled way, the most successful, you define success, spiritually successful way. How do I do that? What's the roadmap for it? And this concept of what got you here won't get you there comes out of this book. That's the tie-in. You wonder where that story was going? That's the tie-in to this book. So the question that I have for you before we unpack that statement is, wherever you are in your life right now, wherever you are, whether things are going really great and you feel like you're on track, or whether you're facing a challenge, a big challenge or a little challenge or any challenge at all, no matter where you are in that continuum of life experience, what's calling you to your next step? What's calling you up to that next level? I love the phrase, what is your next revolution around your ever upward spiral of evolution? I see heads shaking. Those in my former congregation used to hear me say that a lot. You're hearing me say it again. What is your next revolution around the ever upward spiral of your evolution? What is it for you? Or said another way, what's the next step in your personal, professional, emotional, spiritual, relational journey? In your spiritual hero's journey, what's the next step? How is God calling you from within to thrive? To thrive to a higher, more expansive way of being. And, you know, I am very aware that we are living in some crazy, crazy, crazy times. Difficult, challenging, painful often. Words can't even describe. Yes, that is the fact. But that fact does not change one whit, as Ernest Holmes used to like to use that word a lot, not one whit does it change the fact that we came here to thrive. It is our divine right and our divine heritage to thrive, regardless of conditions that may exist around us. So I want you to say, I'd like to have group participation. So part of the group participation is I want you to think about what is yours next calling. But I also want you to say after me, I'll say it first, then we'll say it together. It is my divine right and heritage to thrive. Ready? It is my divine right and heritage to thrive. All right, yeah, I love, who was that? Who gave that little who? I liked it. I would love to, thank you. I would actually love to hear that from all of you. So we're going to do that, all of you. We're going to do it again with a little enthusiasm and with a whoo at the end, okay? Are we ready? It is my divine right and heritage to thrive. Yeah, I like that even better. Yippee-yi-yay. I used to sometimes end a prayer with Yahoo, but I may do that today. I don't know. So it may take a little more contemplation than just me throwing that big question out to you this morning. What is yours? So you've got homework then. If today your heart isn't telling you what it is, if you don't know what it is today, but maybe you do because it's been already niggling at you for a while. But if you don't know what it is today, well, then that's some of your homework, is to give some thoughtful, prayerful thought about what is that for you? What is that next step for you in your ever-evolving spiral of evolution? So what does this statement mean? What got you here won't get you there. Well, it is kind of obvious, but let's state the obvious. It means that if we truly want to express the next level of divinity, if we want to let God be God even bigger in us and through us, to paraphrase Meister Eckhart, if we want to thrive at a new level, we've got to do things differently. We got to look at things differently. We got to talk about things differently. We've got to, okay, take a breath, here it comes, move out of our comfort zone. Ugh. Oh, I heard that. Ugh. You know, I first became a minister, I lived right here. And I held on to this podium for all my life. And my mentor said, all right, Michelle, you gotta get out from behind the podium. So, is this enough? This was my comfort zone. How about this? Freedom! Oh my God, there was freedom over here. So if we want to move to the next level, we've got to do things differently. We've got to get out of that comfort zone. We've got to get out of the habitual ways that we have been living. And in this great book, which I don't even know if it's still in print, it was written in the 90s, because that's how long ago it was that I was prayer partners with Richard and Michelle. Tracy Goss talks about our winning strategies. And our winning strategies are just that. They're the ways we've gotten to where we are right now. To whatever level of success, or lack thereof, wherever we are, what we've done to get there are called our winning strategies. She calls them the sum total of who we are right now and how we show up in the world to achieve success. It is how we have gotten to our level of thriving, whatever level that is. That's how we've gotten here. But here's what she says. She proposes a paradox. And the paradox is this. Our winning strategy is the source of our success up to this point. Yay. Good to know. Great. And it is the source of our limitations to go beyond. Say what? What was that? It's the source of our limitations to go on. What got you here won't get you there. And I know you want to go to a higher level. I know you're ready for it. Because if you weren't, you would not be sitting in this room or watching online or watching this later. All of us are here because it is our desire, our heart's desire, our soul's desire to always be expanding and growing and going to that next level. That's why you're here. That's what we're all about in New Thought. And it's not to be dissatisfied with where we are, but it's to know that as infinite beings in a finite experience, we are forever having the opportunity and the desire to go beyond where we are right now. Does that make sense? Can I get an amen on that, by the way? Thank you. So we've got to step up our game, my friends, and have a new game plan. We're never going to have a new winning strategy. Never, because they're kind of ingrained in us. But we will rise above them. We'll become aware of them and rise above them. So let me give you what I came to learn after doing some deep work in this book. And I can't help you today find your winning strategy, because it's a big old process. And it's in this book. If you can get this book and find it, because if you want to find out really what your strategy is, although you may find a few snippets of thought as we continue to talk about this. But I went through the process in this book to determine what mine are. And they showed up in a lot of different ways, different versions, different behaviors, but they came down to the same thing, always. They came down to my wanting to feel absolutely safe and secure. So I would do whatever needed to be done to be safe and secure. Now, I didn't grow up in like a I did grow up in a dysfunctional household, but it wasn't violent, and I wasn't unsafe as a child. But for whatever reason, safety and security, I discovered, were my winning strategies. But these are the ways it showed up. Disguised. It was disguised. But here's how it showed up. They showed up. It took the form of doing things to please people so they would like me. I don't know if anybody notices that about me, but it's kind of, or Megan, you too? Is that yours? Oh, good. So I'd like a show of hands if this is one of yours, right? Okay, more than just Megan and me. Okay. It meant I would always be as put together as I possibly could, because then no one would judge me. It meant doing nothing to rock the boat so we could keep things running smoothly. See, all of this is so I can be safe and secure. It means not speaking up when I had something I really needed to say to keep the relationship. Oh, I saw 3 hands who are willing to, thank you. Mm-hmm. It means working to ensure everyone is happy all the time. That is tough as a minister, let me tell you that. Because, and the music department, I just honor you, Frank, and all the musicians, and Holly, you're amazing. I think the hardest thing about being a minister is finding music that everybody likes. Oh, dear me God. Because whoever loves that song, somebody hates it just as much. And if you're like me and want to please everyone, that's kind of an impossible place to be. It meant doing a really good job with whatever I did, so I'd be valued and not fired. And it meant not doing things that were risky, because in my book, failure meant you're not safe or secure. So that was not an option. That is how my winning strategy showed up. And those behaviors actually served me really well in my professional world before I became a minister, served me well. I did really well. And they served me well for a while as a minister. They never, however, served me well in relationships. Ever. Ever. Although I didn't know any better, so I kept doing what I did. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. So when I started reading this book and realized if I want to take my ministry and myself to a higher level, I need to take a look at the way my winning strategies come out. And again, those things are still operating in me. I just am aware of them now, and they don't rule me anymore. I have risen above them, if you will. And I love the quote out of our Science of Mind textbook. Had to get Ernest in here at least once, right? He said on page 302, "If we rise superior to the world, we shall create a new pattern." And I'm just going to tweak Ernest a little bit, because you all know that I like to do that, those who know me. I'll say if we rise superior to our winning strategies, we create a new pattern in our world, in our lives, when we rise above our winning strategies. So just be thinking as I'm talking here, like, I wonder what yours might be. What might mine be? What might be my habitual way of showing up that has served me, maybe in a lot of ways, maybe not always, that maybe will not serve me as I move to whatever that new dream is, whatever that next turn around your ever upward spiral of evolution is. Because when we rise above these winning strategies, we give God more space in our lives to live through us and as us. And by giving God more space in our lives, we will live in greater harmony with our divine potential and express life more fully, more freely, more of what Spirit has intended for us. And that is wonderful and amazing and fantastic. And when you're breaking out of those strategies, it can be scary. Because this is what we know. We know very well how to do those things. And now I'm suggesting you're not going to do that anymore. You're going to do something different. Remember that comfort zone thing? Just think of me grabbing onto the podium for the first year of speaking in church. I want to give you a couple of examples of me rising above. And I'm actually happy to say that the first example came before this book. So, universal principles are universal principles. They're out there. And I was fortunate enough to find someone to support me in rising above what I now know was my strategy for success in relationships. But it didn't work. And after about 1,172 times of trying it, that was the number of husbands or well, not husbands, but just a couple husbands and boyfriends, I thought, I got to do something different here. This isn't working. And the only thing I wanted, because my career was great. I had my winning strategies worked really well in my career, but they did not work in relationships. So I realized I needed to start my own. I didn't know it was a spiritual heroine's journey at the time, but it was. And I sought out emotional and spiritual healing. And I found an amazing therapist. And I found religious science, which rocked my world, changed my life, sent me on a whole new pattern. And then I met this guy, this handsome, charming, sexy, kind, intelligent, and hilariously funny man. And we started dating. His name was Lonnie Whittington, as a matter of fact. And 2 months into our relationship, it happened. I got unhappy with something. I didn't like what he'd done. My old pattern was to not say anything. Remember the winning strategy? Don't rock the boat. Be nice. Make everybody happy. Don't speak up. But I actually knew how that went because I had 1,172 examples of how that went. It didn't go well. So here I am at a fork in the road. Do I do the same pattern? That's my comfort zone. That's really my comfort zone. I don't want to say anything. But I'm pretty sure where that relationship will go if I do that. Or do I step out of my comfort zone and do something different? That, my friends, was terrifying. The thought of actually confronting him and speaking what I was not happy about, and I won't go into all the details. They're interesting, but they'll take too much time. Ask me later, I'll tell you. Oh, buy my book. It's in there. Which Carla is selling out in the breezeway. Okay, I knew I'd get that in there. I wasn't sure how that would work, but there it is. I got it in. So I decided, you know what? Let's throw caution to the wind and give it a shot, see what happens. And so I talked to him about it. And the words of Robert Frost's poem, The Road Less Traveled, the end words could not be truer than what happened for me. Those words, in case you don't know them, say, 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by me. And that has made all the difference. And that made all the difference in the world, because he and I went on to a truly remarkable and blissful relationship of almost 30 years. And I want to just pause for one quick second and see if I can do this without tears. And if I do have tears, it's okay. I want to thank New Vision. Some of you were here at the time. You hosted his memorial service 3.5 years ago. And what a blessing you were to me and to my church community, many of whom are here. What a blessing that night was to know that it was in your hands. Reverend Penny was your minister at the time. She said, we don't want you to do anything. You tell us what you want, we'll do it. And that's what you did. And I thank you for that. I honor you for that. And you will, for that and so many reasons, be forever in my heart. Okay. Let's all breathe. I'm breathing. See, I told Karen to leave these tissue up here because I knew I would need them. So in my relationship, I had to learn how to rise above my winning strategies, and that worked, my friends. In my church, I had to learn how to do that as well. There came a time for me to step up as a leader and to say something we'd been striving for 5 years, but it hadn't happened yet, and that was to buy our own building. And I'm very clear that I did not cause that to happen all by myself. It was a community experience. But what did happen was I stepped out of my comfort zone after reading this book, and I proclaimed at a congregant meeting in 2005 that by this meeting next year, we will be in our own building. Now, I had no idea how that was going to happen. I had no idea where that was going to be. I didn't know anything. I just knew that it was time to step up and make a bold, impossible promise, which is actually also in this book, but that's a whole other topic. Have me back. I'll talk about bold, impossible promises. But I made that bold, impossible promise. That was going outside my comfort zone because I don't take risks, remember? Because I can't fail. I can't be wrong. What if a year from now we're still sitting in this strip shopping center jammed in like little sardines? Well, the fact is, less than a year later, we had purchased an amazing building and we were in it. And that served religious science for 15 years. And I know, and I have a little bit of angst in my heart that that building has now been sold and that's what needed to happen. But for 15 years, that building took Creative Living Fellowship to another level of ministry. And it took me to another level of ministry. So how can we rise above our winning strategies? I want to give you a three-prong approach. It's quick. I promise not to talk much longer, Karen. I know I'm probably about... It's hard to give a minister who hasn't spoken in a long time. You know, I got a lot, I want to say. I got a lot built up in here. I haven't done this. But I promise this will be pretty quick. So there's 3 steps to once you recognize it's time to break out of that comfort zone, to do something different, and you're scared to do it. You're scared because it's scary, because you haven't done it before, and you don't really know the result. But there's 3 steps. The first one is to show up. Show up and pay attention to this moment. What is to be done differently in this moment? What different words are you going to say? What different approach are you going to take? What different strategy, if you will, are you going to use in this moment? Focus right on what's in front of you, not the comfort zone. It would feel better to go back here. It would have felt better not to talk to Lonnie about my concern, but that wouldn't have served because that relationship would have gone downhill too. It was scary to say to the congregation, I'm pledging that a year from now we'll be in our own building. But I stood up and said that. So the first strategy is to show up and focus on your intention. What is the intention that you want? What is that desire? What is that next spiral upward? What is that new level of thriving? Keep that in mind. Show up and stay focused on that intention. And the second thing is you pray up. Oh, what a surprise. You pray up. Now, our spiritual mind treatment, or otherwise known as affirmative prayer, is all about expecting the best, is it not? It's accepting and expecting the best. And it's turning our expectations and our desires over to that infinite intelligence, infinite love, and infinite law that knows exactly how to bring this about. Way more than we do. And that is working as us and through us. That's what our prayer is all about. But how many times when we're getting ready to step out and do something different, we awfulize it? Do you know what that word, have you ever heard of awfulizing, you know? What if this happens? What if that happens? How awful that will be. Well, what if it's not awful? What if it's wonderful? What if by your making this step, something beautiful unfolds? A new level of beingness now occurs that would not have occurred had you not done this. So yeah, pray up. Pray up and know Expect, accept that this step you're taking is absolutely going to lead you to this new level of thriving. So we show up, we pray up, and then we step up. We got to take the action. And I learned from Edwin Gaines when I did a firewalk, and I'm not talking about that because many of my people have heard that so many times you could recite it yourselves. But when I did a firewalk with Edwin Gaines, I learned that fear is nothing more than a veil. It may feel like an impenetrable wall, but it's nothing more than a veil. It's a thin smoke screen. And all you have to do to break through it is take the first step. And in this case, it's probably get the words out of your mouth. It's take that action that you didn't expect to take, or that's difficult to take, or that's different from what you would take. So I stepped up and I started the conversation with Lonnie. I stepped up and I told the congregation, I had the conversation with Lonnie, and I stepped up and told my congregation, we're going to be in our own building in a year. This is how you step up. And my friends, those are not the only 2 times I have done this 3-step process. And in the last 3 years since he's been gone, I've done it a lot. Because believe me, Lonnie was my safety and security. And that all got wiped away. I had to rise above my winning strategies and start a whole new. And then I left my church 6 months later. Talk about, again, leaving your safety and security for a new career at 65. Who does that? I mean, who does that? Who becomes an entrepreneur? I do, right? Who becomes an entrepreneur at 65? I guess I just told you my age, didn't I? Well, there it is. This, by the way, is my natural hair color. I just need you to know that. All right. So, my friends, what is the next level of blessing, of living, of thriving for you? And do you want it badly enough that you're willing to say, I know what got me here won't get me there, and I want to get there. And so I'm willing to rise above my winning strategies and to show up, to pray up, and to step up. Yes? Can I hear a yes? Yeah. And so it is. Let's anchor this in prayer. Thank you. Yeah, you know what? Go ahead. Now let's anchor this in prayer. So we move into a space of openness, awareness, newness, and yet a knowing that there is an energy, an essence, a force, a power, a presence that surrounds us and lives as us that is always exactly the same. Because it is infinite intelligence, it is infinite love, and it is infinite law. It is God. We turn our minds and our hearts right now to the God of our being, and the calling from within that the God of our being is inviting us to hear. I accept and know for each of us that our ears are open to hear our next level of expression, our next level of thriving, the next step on our spiritual hero's journey. And I proclaim and know that as we become aware of it, we take the steps necessary in the human experience to bring that about, and we rise above that which has worked in the past, and we create anew. How grateful I am for this creation, how grateful I am for who we are in the world and how we serve the world as we step up. So for that, I say thank you, Source. Thank you, God. Thank you, Life. And with a knowing that it is done as I have said these words, the law has now said yes. Not just yes, but a big yes. Knowing that that is so, we let go, we release, we trust, and we grow. And so it is. Yahoo.